Thanks for choosing this free Anfield Index podcast. If you'd prefer to listen to this or any of our other shows without adverts, then now's the time to check out Anfield Index Pro. With AI Pro, you can supercharge your entire listening experience. You'll not only get all of our podcasts without the ads, but you'll have them far faster with our quick publish feature available exclusively for subscribers. AI Pro also puts you in the heart of our sound studio, with an option to listen to many of our shows live and interact with the podcasters in real time as the shows are recording. Upgrading couldn't be easier. AI Pro is available on all popular podcast platforms, and we have our own apps for Apple and Android. Just head on over to AnfieldIndexPro.com and get started today.
Hello and welcome to the Anfield Index Podcast. Who knows what episode it is, but I am still broadcasting to you from my house in a field in beautiful rural Ireland. My name is still Trev Downey, and I'm still joined by Marie Hanahan and Kam Brainch for this ramble through Liverpool chat that we like to do on a weekly basis for you. And the guys have something as per usual by way of an intro, as do I, but let's not just sort of try to sneak past the elephant in the room, and let's acknowledge that step one of the grand scheme, which is the 4 trophy Reds, has been achieved, and we have a trophy. And whether the rest of it pans out or not, that's a lovely, lovely, lovely little ball of joy, a topic we spoke about on the last show for us all to revel in. And I'm just going to get a sentence or two because it's going to be the main topic for our chat today. I don't see how it can be anything else. But I just want to get a sentence or two in terms of a little bit of feedback. Because Lisa Marie, I do believe I saw you tweet that that's your first one to see live, a first trophy win, lift, final, all of that successful to see live. And if that's the case, I'm afraid you are now stuck forever having to watch all Liverpool finals. And what a start it was for you. I mean, talk about drama.
Absolutely. Yes, this is the first time for me to watch the game or watch the final match live. And I may have picked up a couple gray hairs along the way. I know I have bloody cuticles from where I was picking them. But yes, I mean, all the drama, all the excitement, and all the joy in the win. So it was great. I'm very glad that I rearranged my Sunday to be able to watch it live and in real time. And while I was wondering why I was torturing myself at one point, in the end, I'm glad that I did.
You see, that's it. And that's the question I want to get to real quick. Like I said, just a couple of things from each of you. That was the conundrum we were battling with. And I'm going to ask Kam the same question on the show last week. And we were both trying to lean towards the idea that, like, you got to knock fun out of football. It's not that Kam wasn't saying you do, but he was being more realistic and saying, like, what you enjoy is you get the result, and that's when you enjoy. That was a pretty perfect example of it. Except was it? Because it was a massively enjoyable game, really exciting. We got to see our lads do really well. We got to see a very dangerous opposition get thwarted again and again. We had the VAR drama. We had all the rest of it. And then you have this, incredible psychodrama that is penalties and the way in which it panned out. So where are you any clearer after that on where you stand on the whole thing? Because I think it just made things more confusing for me. I don't know if I enjoyed the game, is my point. I certainly enjoyed the celebrations.
I think on the balance of things, I did. I have to tell you, in some ways, I enjoyed it more. Okay, so when I was first watching it, none of the family was home, so I was home by myself watching it. And about halfway through extra time, they all got home, so I kind of had them underfoot, and they were driving me crazy. So I think I enjoyed it a little bit more, just because my oldest son was just highly amused at how into the whole experience that I was, and as I'm, yelling at the TV, and not yelling, but just was just so stressed and frustrated. He was finding great amusement in that. So I was, the next step might be that I just go, take myself somewhere else to watch it where I will not be bothered by the family. So
I believe that is absolutely the true evolution of the football supporter. You can't support your family.
or
It's just,
or I will go up. I mean, I could have come up to my office
yeah,
to watch because
you
I've got
got to do
TVs
this.
here.
You got to do
But
that.
you know, it was so we were at such a point where I didn't want to have to leave to come up here and get the TV on and get connected to the where it was on ESPN and the whole bit. I mean, I could have missed something just crucial.
Yeah. But look, also in hindsight, you probably should have done that. Lesson learned, because I know I have to. And it was really interesting. Kam, I'll bring you in on this. It was really interesting. I wouldn't mind getting your take on this. I'll be on the spot during the week. I was trying to get a feel for how Jan might watch a game. It was ahead of the final, was it? No, it wasn't. No, it was after the final. It was a Monday, and I was just trying to get a feel for how what does Jan do when he's not on duty, because he's normally working games for TV or whatever. And I was trying to get, like, is he a shouter at the TV? But it turns out he's a bit like myself, and a bit like I'm advising Lisa Marie, like, likes to be on his own in the living room or whatever, just taking the game in, swearing occasionally to himself quite low, and maybe sit up or stand up occasionally, but nothing too dramatic, which is the way I tend to be, a button down, but also quite expressive. I have seen you, because I think you've supplied us with footage, watching matches, and I don't think you totally isolate yourself, do you? You kind of, I know it's not, none of your family are necessarily that interested, but you don't completely seal yourself off, do you, when you're watching the game?
Depends which room I'm watching the match in. There's a video of me floating around somewhere. I didn't realise my daughter was recording me. I was
it's tremendous, man. It's one of the best things I've ever seen.
Where I was literally like 4 foot away from the TV, on my knees, banging the floor with my clenched fists in frustration. I think it was a Liverpool United game, and I was totally consumed by what was going on, in the screen, and it was like I almost felt I was in the stadium. But I'm different in the stadium to what I am at home.
Nice segue, because you were in the stadium, and that's what we want to get lots of details about that from you. But in case people who are listening didn't know, Kam was actually at the final, so we do have a nice little angle on it there in that regard. And the overall experience, man, of the day, in terms of just your pure football experience, would you say that was an enjoyable game to be at, or was it just, true to your philosophy from last week, enjoyable when the trophy was being raised?
Actually, it was, as 0-0 goes, it's probably one of the best 0-0s I've ever seen. It was, when Chelsea opened up a bit, it felt like a really good end-to-end game. I don't know how that was perceived by the viewers at home as such, but for us in the stadium, it was, like they seemed to be, second half they seemed to attack a lot more. First time I felt after 10-15 minutes we finally got a bit of control in the game, and we were by far the better team in the first half. And the fans were awesome. Liverpool fans were brilliant. Honestly, Chelsea fans, not that any of them be listening, but I thought they were poor in their support, to be honest. I didn't think they really made a lot of noise. The best thing they did was they start singing their shitty version of the Stevie G song, and then we just outsang them. We just drowned them out, and then they didn't know what to do after that, and they tried it a couple of times, and it's just, we've actually got the real words, and we'll drown you out because we know how to sing. They're truly plastic fans. They had all their plastic flags there before the game, and we're like, what the hell, man? Seriously? It's the League Cup final, and you brought your plastic flags with you, or the Chelsea club have asked for them to be put, football club have asked for them to be put out. It was pathetic. I mean, Chelsea, but the game as a whole, I enjoyed it. I must admit. I mean, obviously it's easy to say that now because with the trophy lift and everything, and that's what we were there for. I mean, it could have been the most boring 0-0 for all I care. ultimately, because I just want that trophy.
Yeah.
In the final, it doesn't matter what the game is like as long as you come back with a trophy.
And let's get more and more of that from you as we go. But just one thing for my own curiosity, because one of the big takeaways from me was that Jimmy Miller was organising things at the end there, and we got to take the penalties in front of our lot, which I thought was tremendous. I'm wondering, were you in there, or were you somewhere kind of more neutral in the middle and one of the stands either side, or where exactly were you positioned?
Okay, so we were opposite the dugout.
Okay.
We were right on the byline.
Okay.
Right on the byline. So
that must have been quite difficult to view penalties from, was it?
Well, we're watching it as from. So we're on. When I say we're on the byline, I meant as in the touch line. So we're in line with the goal. So I'm looking across the goal.
Oh, sorry, you're at that.
Okay.
Okay, sorry. No, you actually, that's just my misunderstanding. Do you know why that is? Because the two times I've been in that stadium, I was actually down on the touchline, and I was just thinking, okay, so you were right up in the corner as such.
No. So imagine I'm looking across the goalpost and the crossbar.
Yeah.
So we're second tier up, about 7 rows from the front. So nice
at the goal in question, the goal in which the penalties.
We were in the Liverpool end as such. So half of the stadium was, so basically it was split in two halves. You know, the Chelsea fans were to our right, the Liverpool fans, we were, like I say, we were in amongst all the Liverpool fans, and so all the penalties were right in front of us. Obviously, when Virgil took his penalty, we didn't realise Kepa was stood a yard and a half closer to us when and that was, and then we actually saw the way Virgil looked around, and I also noticed the way Mo Salah turned around and just sort of laughed at Kepa as well after his penalty, and I just thought that was glorious. It was, the penalty was something else. I mean, when we get to it, I'll tell you a little story about something I said on about the 8th or 9th penalty. That'll be a good one.
Look forward to it. And listen, folks, in case you were expecting that there was going to be a wide variety of topics in the show, there really is only one show in town for this show. We usually have 2 or 3 things that we try to get through in the 50 odd minutes that we're actually chatting in the middle of the show. And honestly, we're to the pin of our collar to discuss 2 topics. So if we get to talk about West Ham at all, I'll be amazed. But basically, that's what the gist of the show is going to be. But we had that unusual opening because it's an unusual podcast, an unusual day, because, like I say, we have a trophy in the book, in the banks, and I'd like to just acknowledge that by doing something a little bit different. But I do want to stick to the formula as well, because we always begin with something non-footy or footy adjacent, and I just couldn't let this pass when I saw it during the week. I was watching, and Kam will know because I've played this guy on the show before. There's a very well-known Irish stand-up comedian called Tommy Tiernan. And he's very, very good. Tommy is now quite the prolific podcaster along with his pal Hector. And Tommy and Hector are both from my town and went to the same school as me a couple of years before me. And this little extract is from years back, probably 15 years, maybe more, where Tommy was really in his pomp as a stand-up, going around doing, constantly gigging and all the rest of it. He's a little bit more kind of semi-retirement now, doing acting and doing the podcasting, and he does less touring. But this is him talking about his secondary school experience, which was my secondary school experience, not just Irish, not just the same town, but the same school. And I thought it might give you guys a kick, especially given the fact that now I am, as reasonably well known in this parish, one of the people who supplies the education to the individuals in secondary school that are going to be talked about here. So I wanted to give you a little sort of flavour of for about 2 minutes of what it was, the school system as it was when I came up through it. We now, me speaking as someone who does that professionally, as an educator, teacher, we're very, 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 it's all about pastoral care. It's all about equality of opportunity. It's all about equality of attainment and making sure that kids are not left behind and all this type of thing. It was a harsher environment in the mid 80s. Here's how it went.
It is up in secondary school. They decided it was dangerous to let thick fuckers be in the same room as clever fuckers. In primary school, all you had to have done was lived a certain amount of days and you could get into the class. Secondary school, they made you do an entrance exam. 5 different classes. I went to St. Patrick's Classical School in Navan. 5 different classes. A1, A2, A3, B1. And then the Lord of Mercy on the brains of the faithful departed. Not even a fucking vitamin. B2. A1 and A2, they were kind of the same. That's where I was. They were for fellas who were either clever or good looking. I'm still hovering between the two. Haven't made my mind up yet. We studied stuff like art, drama, and music. A3. That was for kids who had the art bet out of them. Clever but no flair. Kids who are going to go into business. They studied stuff like accountancy, commerce, business organization. And they called it Bizorg. And you go into Bizorg. Fucking Klingons with school bags. Bizorg. Their part of the school had no windows. Just photographs of money from all over the world. B1 and B2. Those fuckers were only in school because that's where the bus stopped.
It goes on. And the B1 and B2 lads get a bit of dog's abuse. I would recommend you looking that up if you want to. Yeah, and for the record, yes, I was in A1, just so you know.
I was going to ask.
I knew Kam was desperately hoping that I'd be a Bizorg merchant, but I wasn't, alas. Not for me. That's my little bit of introduction to the show. Kam, what have you got for us to start?
You said they're from your town in Ireland. Don't you mean you're the king of the Republic of Ireland, aren't you? You're the king of air. So, that's a big town, isn't it?
I'm afraid you're confusing me with young Gibbs. I have no title. I live in the home of proper monarchs, not the British lizard variety, the German half-breed crossbred variety. No lizards here. I live literally 5 minutes drive from Tara, which is the ancient home of the High Kings of Ireland, and they predate the Windsors by quite a fucking merry amount. So yeah, I do have a tie to royalty in that the county I'm from is called a royal county. But unlike Gibbo, I am not a monarch myself. I simply reside in the county of monarchs. So, alas, Kam, no. I wish I was. If I was, I would dub you Sir Kam of something or other. But I'm afraid I'm not.
I'm not going to stop you doing that anyway.
No, I know.
His field is the whole country, people. So anyway, right, my little quote. This is in honor of somebody who's unfortunately passed away. One of my idols since he burst onto the scene. This guy mesmerised me with everything he did with a cricket ball. Going slightly off topic for a football podcast, but this little quote sort of, I think, sums him up. perfectly. And most people will have guessed because they'll know which cricket player just passed away, and that's Shane Warne. So this quote is, "I still eat pizzas. I still like pies. I still have spaghetti hoops for breakfast. But it's in moderation now."
That's actually great.
I
spaghetti hoops in moderation.
That's all I'm thinking now.
It's a long time since I had spaghetti hoops. Or you remember when we were nippers, certainly in this part of the world, I don't know what it was like in stateside, at least, Marie, but we had the little spaghetti alphabet.
I knew you were going to say that.
Right?
Oh, yes. Yes.
You'd be spelling out words.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Glorious.
Memories.
Yeah.
That's great. Thanks for that, Kam. And yeah, I'm sure an awful lot of people will echo the sentiments with regards to Shane Warne. As an Irishman and a non-cricket fan, all I'd say is I was mightily aware of the fact of who he was and the fact that he was wonderful at what he did. So
that says a lot, then, doesn't it?
That in and of itself, I think, is quite telling.
Yeah.
Lisa Marie, what have you got to start us off with?
Just a quote, and I don't know, it's kind of a general quote, but I just ran across it, and it just sort of struck me. "Success is no accident. It is hard work, perseverance, learning, studying, sacrifice, and most of all, love of what you are doing or learning to do."
Can we put that in context and start our football chat? Because it was on the last show that we spoke about all the finals that poor Kloppo had lost. And we had spoken about how we had feared that this was something that was just going to haunt him. And then all of a sudden, it came to a real peak with the defeat by Real Madrid and Pearl Carius and all the rest of it, and Mo getting crocked at the start, and it was miserable. But then the climb back came, and the comeback came, and the two big trophies started coming in, and then two more lesser trophies came in, and now another trophy has come in. And I'm wondering, because of that quote, that quote suggests, yeah, you got to do the practice, you got to do the endurance, you got to just keep going and love what you're doing. And you never ever doubt that about Jurgen. You really don't. He's often pissed off about things in general, but you never doubt that he's tremendously enthusiastic about what he does. And I would say the same about this particular squad. And I know it's going to sound one-eyed, and maybe if there was a Leeds fan or an Everton fan probably, or a United fan listening to this, they might be reaching for the sick bucket. But I honestly couldn't give a shit, because I really believe that about our squad of footballers as well, in a way that I don't see replicated necessarily in other squads. And I'm wondering, would you buy into that? Is that kind of why that quote took you this week?
It is. It kind of spoke to me on a personal level, as well as I'm having sort of a personal career crisis right now, but we won't get into that. So it sort of struck me on both counts. Because I agree with what you're saying. You can't help, even last year, in the dark days, which, I mean, were literally, as we called them, literally about a year ago. I mean, you could still see that within the team, within Klopp, with the players, that it was a struggle, but, they knew that if they just kept kind of putting one foot in front of the other, it was going to come right, in some way, shape, or form. So it did strike. By the way, ironically, that was said by Pele. Ah,
okay, nice. I like that. I like that a lot, actually. That's perfect tie-in. And it's interesting. You talk about that period, dark days. I think we referenced it on the last show as well. And I think, just for the record, in case you didn't hear that last show, I just always go out of my way to say that that's actually one of the biggest achievements that Liverpool have had in my time watching, was getting that Champions League spot. Not just getting fourth, but getting third on the back of that run, with that particular set of individuals, with the grit that they showed, the determination that they showed, and all those other buzzword Brendan Rodgers things, but along with then the flair of our super attacking talent as well. I couldn't tell you, Kam, how much I enjoyed that. It was borderline miraculous given where we were and given the scenario that we had in terms of squad depletion. So for me, it ranks right up there. I think Kloppo said something similar really as well. I mean, he said, yeah, okay, League, Champions League, but and then the League Cup, but then the next one would be that third place before the World Cup or the European, the Super Cup or whatever, because it was just such a. It meant so much. It was such a significant achievement in as Lisa Marie says, a comparatively dark season. But now we're back to a different ball game, and I've heard a lot of joy sappers coming out, and I understand. Do you know what, man? I partially understand that, and I don't want to sound like I'm down on them, because I'm not. You know, you support whatever way you want to support, and you feel whatever you want to feel. But I've seen a lot of people coming out with this. Stop all this shit talk about 4 trophies. Like, I mean, you know, this needs to be binned off. Let's just, you know, whatever. And it just. I want to be excited by this team, and I want to let them make me think that it's possible. And I will bow to fucking nobody in that, Kam. And as our resident cautious man, do you see where I'm coming from with that? Like, I do understand the impulse towards caution, but I want to enjoy the possibility that it could happen until it can't, you know?
Yeah, of course. And why wouldn't you? I mean, every year is for the last 5 or 6 years, it's always been about Man City are going to do the quadruple. Well, it's our turn now. Yeah, we're going to do the quadruple. So embrace it, enjoy it, live it, breathe it, run with it, and you know, let's see where it takes us. Because at the end of the day, we're here for the ride. We're here for the ride, and you've got to be a part of it. You've got to let it embrace you, engulf you, and you know, really become part of it. The players will be thinking it. They're thinking now, we can win every single game this season that we play. That's the mindset now that they're getting to. Yes, we suddenly had a couple of players drop out through injury again, you know, and that's always frustrating and annoying. But we do actually have quite good squad depth, which is nice. And, you know, we touched on that a couple of times now, you know, just with that one signing of Diaz, just made a huge difference. Made a huge difference. That guy's a baller, man. He's such a baller. And this notion that we're going to win all 4 trophies, or we're not going to win all 4 trophies, you handle that whichever way you want to handle it. You know, I for one will go with the ride that, yeah, we're going to win 4 trophies. Do I think we're likely to? The odds are probably more against us than they are for us.
Well, that's it. Nobody's likely to do that. Likely doesn't come into it. It's just, man, it's possible. So
it's possible. So go with it. And when it's not possible,
it's possible until it isn't possible.
Yeah,
I mean, that's exactly it.
Impossible, or it's I'm possible. Which way do you want to do it?
Oh, you see, the second one makes no grammatical sense. But, you know, I hear where you're going.
All right, Professor Downey.
Come on. I'm possible. Kam there talking about his own existential nature. I am possible, says Kam. Well, no, Kam, you are.
So. And so if I am...
Therefore,
it's possible.
Yeah, okay. Again, apologies to all philosophy students listening to the podcast.
Care. Bring it on, people. We're still going for 4 trophies. What's more important, my grammatical sense or the 4 trophies?
Exactly. All those Chelsea supporting, Man City supporting philosophy students, basically up yours. So we've got this lovely start, and you are in a better position than myself or Lisa Marie to talk about a lot of different aspects of it, being there, having, as they say, gone the game. Yeah. So I mean, I'm looking to get a little bit of sort of boots on the ground experience from you here in terms of what sort of things did you get to experience that we wouldn't necessarily have had through the medium of TV. And obviously, before the mics went live, we spoke about one pre-match incident, which has been covered on other podcasts, which we won't get into. Yeah. But I'm talking about in the stadium itself. Last I heard, in terms of stuff that was covered, in terms of actual, reports from the stadium, was Gags. He was talking about, just it was getting a bit late and they were queuing up because somebody wanted a pint and not everybody wanted a pint, but that was it. After that, it was just general match talk between himself and Dave on Old School. Right. So I haven't heard, like I say, boots in the ground stuff from the stadium. I mean, give me a couple of your takeaways, like the kind of moments that you can only get from actually being there.
What a stadium.
Really? Okay, talk to us about that, because that I think that's going to interest people, because some of the older listeners might have been there back in its old iteration.
Yeah, I never got to it before.
Okay,
it is today, but oh my God, what a stadium! Honestly, it's a joy to watch a football match in that stadium. It really is. You got room in front of you, in that you're not cramped to the person in front of you. The view is spectacular. You're not, again, the person, you're clearly seeing over the person in front of you. You're not just seeing the touchline, you're seeing the literally if there was a running track going around the pitch, you'd see that as well. It is a phenomenal venue, as in not necessarily where it is, but a phenomenal stadium to watch a football match in, or to watch any sporting, that they could play on that pitch, or a concert or whatever. You cannot go wrong. If you ever are lucky enough to have the opportunity to go to Wembley to watch a game of football, go. It is worth every penny, honestly. I can't praise it high enough in the terms of the view. I mean, then going on to the atmosphere, because we know how to make an atmosphere. Reds fans know how to make an atmosphere.
Talk to me about the fact that, and listen, Marie, will you confirm this for me? Because from where the TV channel that I was watching, it panned a lot around the ground, obviously, as you can imagine, and over where the dugouts were, there seemed to be, a lot of empty blue seats. Did you notice this, Lisa Marie? And I noticed it was probably maybe a little bit close to half-time. The second half had just started, and I thought, how the fuck are they not? How did they not have these seats filled? Because even if they can't, and they could have filled them 18 times over with Liverpool supporters, never mind, Chelsea supporters, but they could always have given seats to local kids, done some sort of community initiative. Did it seem to you like there were empty seats, or do you reckon that was just a half-time thing? Because it really struck me when I saw those empty seats.
I don't remember noticing that.
You didn't?
No, I don't. But yeah, I can't say that I recall seeing that. I just remember how loud I was just struck by how loud it was at the start of the match.
Yeah.
The crowd noise was just like, wow.
Well, that's full circle back to you, Kam, because you were just talking about the racket that we can make. And I mean, from your perspective, you can just mention the empty seats thing if it was a thing.
We saw before the match started, before kickoff, there seemed to be a lot of empty seats in the Chelsea end. And then, but at kickoff, it looked like a full stadium. 85,000 were in the stadium, but I've been in there with 95,000 before. I was actually at the Liverpool-Barcelona friendly.
Okay, right.
95,000 that day, and I think there was only about 300 Barcelona fans in there.
Also, isn't that mental? What
is the capacity?
It was pretty much about 95,000, I think it was then.
Well, here you go. I can one up that a little bit. When I went to a preseason match at the University of Michigan a couple of years ago, which was Liverpool versus Man United, the capacity for that stadium is over 100,000. I want to say it's like 104 105,000, and it was at 101,000.
Hang on. There's so many angles here that I need to tease out. First of all, it's a Liverpool pre-season friendly.
Yes.
So that's a remarkable turnout and a story. And
yeah,
it says a lot.
In the US, I mean, you know,
that's what I mean. Because
when do we get a chance to see? Yeah.
But also, it's in the US. So So my point stands. But hang on. A university. So are we talking about college ball here? University?
Yeah, it's college. It's their football stadium, the University of Michigan, which is a huge university.
But it's college football, right?
Yeah, it's a college football stadium.
And do they fill that? Obviously they do, or they wouldn't have built the fucker. So they fill that with for college football, right? Kam, we don't get it, do we, over here? We don't get how massive college football is.
No, not at all.
Jesus.
Actually, the University of Tennessee's football stadium is as big.
My God.
I mean, I know it's huge. College football. It's it's really well watched in the US, isn't it? It's nearly as big as the NFL in terms of viewing figures.
In some cases, or in some places, I should say, it's bigger.
Yeah.
Because not all places have NFL teams. I mean, we didn't have one here in Tennessee for, years. It was the mid 90s before we had an NFL team. So the college football, that's where it was at.
What is your local NFL team?
The Tennessee Titans.
Tennessee Titans. I didn't know that. I just couldn't think of it. So, okay. That's,
I just want to add a correction. Sorry, it's 90,000 capacity at Wembley.
Okay.
Yeah, so if they had 85,000 there, it's pretty much full stadium. So I'm not sure if that's something to do with the way the corporates is set up, that they didn't have it at the 90,000. I don't know. So something you'll have to ask Wembley, I guess, isn't it?
The stadium where the FA Cup and, where we won lots of trophies when Anfield South was being done up and was closed for a while in Cardiff.
Millennium.
The Millennium Stadium. I have it in my head that used to hold 80,000. Am I right?
I think you could be right. I'm just going to check it now. It's going to be around that.
I think it was, and that's always that. To be honest, I think that got undersold. I thought that was a fantastic stadium. Not but I thought that was a great place. Maybe because I associate it with Liverpool wins, but I can't see capacity here in this.
74.5.
Okay, 74.5. Yeah,
so it's actually smaller than Old Trafford.
Small, yeah. Okay, so this you're gonna. I mean, obviously, over in the States, they just do things bigger. But you're going to notice 90,000 fuckers around you shouting. And even if there was, what did you say? There was 80-something on the day, 85 is that the attendance? Okay, that's a tremendous amount of humanity
of course.
Crammed into one place. And did you get the feeling that there was a majority of Reds?
No, not really. Looking at the stadium, obviously you can't really see across you. So if I was looking to the Chelsea end, I was looking to my right. The Liverpool fans were more in front of me because I was as I was saying to you earlier, I was in line with the goal, exactly on the goal line, looking across the post and the crossbar. So all the Liverpool fans, were behind the goal, sort of in line with me, slightly to the left. The dugout was in front of me to my right, slightly to the right. And then the Chelsea fans were obviously all the way over to the right. So I could only see sort of 2/3 of the Chelsea fans. So I don't know how many Chelsea fans were coming round onto our side of the stadium, because obviously it's a circular stadium all the way. I wouldn't be surprised if you could walk all the way round on your level, if that makes sense. So as to how many Liverpool fans and how many Chelsea fans, I couldn't tell you. All I can tell you is you knew the Liverpool fans were in there. You didn't know the Chelsea fans were in there.
That's the point, really, regardless, anyway, because we've all heard, and it's something that I take a sense of pride from, and compared to an awful lot of people, it's only a handful of times that I've managed to be at Anfield. It's a sizable handful. It's cost me a lot of money over the years. So, it's well into well into a decent amount at this stage. And yet, of course, if it's nothing compared to a season ticket holder who's had that season ticket for many years. But I always, regardless of that, I just have an affinity the match going supporter as a result of the times of being able to get over there and be part of it and have a feel for having a match day routine. I love all that. I'm very like that anyway. I get the feeling you are too, Kam, and even at home here I have my own routines, but I love, there's nothing better than a match day routine. It's absolutely fantastic. I do love it. And I always feel as you know, a sort of a outsider match day routine person, a tremendous pride when I hear the travelling cop, because our lot always just make a din wherever we go, and you can hear our songs in full flight. Sometimes, if we're being perfectly honest, they're even louder and more forceful and more contributory to the atmosphere than they are in Anfield. That can happen. We have to hold our hands up. We have to hold our hands up and say that.
I'd say that for all away fans, actually.
Yeah, because you often hear the away fans in Anfield kind of trumping us, and that's, you know, that can sting a bit until our lot get it right. So you're saying on the day, of course, in Wembley, we had a tremendous vocal presence, and so I heard the songs were cycled through, and I couldn't help but notice as well, I don't think everybody gets their fair shake. Do you know that kind of way? There are some songs, and I think it's just due to catchiness, perhaps, that are more common. Do you notice that on a match day, that there's no real egalitarianism when it comes to who gets sung about?
They just you know, somebody will start singing and it just gets That's all it is. It's not like, you know, you've got an agenda.
You're never not going to.
There's not a song list where a program that y'all go down.
No, but you're never not going to sing the Bobby song because it's fucking great.
It's a catchy,
right?
It's a catchy song. It's easy to sing along to.
Whereas
Poor Scouser Tommy, which is probably the best song, it's a hard song to try and remember all that. I can't remember hardly anything. I'm not going to lie to you. I mean, I just sort of hum along and
well there you go.
Rush or two, you know, I'll just quip in here and there, sort of thing.
Well, there's a massive part of match day routine for me, and it's what got me into feeling like I really had a clue what was going on in the stadium. Was, again, and this is pub culture, I do understand that it's not for everybody, but we would go to usually the park beforehand, and there was always some lad standing on the table leading everyone in the pub through all the songs. And I think regardless of whether you like a drink or not, that's just fantastic, because you learn the fucking songs.
You learn the songs that way,
right? You do. You learn the songs, and then you go in and, you know, I remember like do you remember the Gary McAllister song from years ago? I mean, that was just
I don't remember it actually.
Dude, that's a belter. And so there's so many fantastic ones that I learned in the park.
I mean, I love the Fields of Anfield Road. I just love that song.
Yeah.
It's probably my favourite song. It's the one I like the Ale 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 as well. I think that's a great song. I really do need to learn, like I say, Poor Scouser Tommy, because that is the best song.
Well, let's flip it around, Lisa Marie. You're the last in recent years, so you've had actually the benefit of all the new belters that we've had and some of the classics. So what are the ones that you love to hear when when we're in full flight?
I like to hear the LA.
Yeah,
that's one that's always kind of easy to pick up on, through the TV coverage.
Yeah,
that one and the Bobby Firmino song are always, I think, the easiest ones to hear. Because sometimes I can tell they're singing, but I can't tell what they're singing. And I'm sure that depends on, if the pundits are just, talking and you can't really hear the crowd. So those are the two that I usually always kind of pick up on. And boy, I'm telling you, that Bobby Firmino song can be stuck in my head for 2 days after a match.
Well, I was going to ask you about that specifically. Have you found yourself in your current place of employ? Because we both had a chat about this. We were both like sort of let's just say scoping out possibilities. But in your current place of employ, have you found yourself going into a day of work and You're just sort of wandering through emails, and then it's something that the cop wants you to know, and you're bashing. Have you found that?
Yes. And this is you all trying to get me to sing on this podcast, and I'm on to you both, and it's not going to happen.
I find that one just, and it's building up in my head. You just want to give it
But the new Diogo Jota song is pretty catchy too. That one's great.
That's tremendous. It's tremendous.
Yeah, any of that yet? Any of it?
Did I ask you both? Or no, I didn't. I asked the guys in Raw. They, in the immediate bloom of Luis Diaz arriving and being fucking brilliant, and sort of making us all just smile from ear to ear, the cop adapted the Luis Suarez song, the old Depeche Mode tune, where instead of Luis Suarez, it was Luis Diaz. And it's incredible. It was Kam, you gotta admit, man, that was such a catchy terrorist song. It was, because it was so simple, right? And you didn't have to remember lyrics, which, from what you're saying,
suits me to a T.
Suit you to a T. Because no more than, listen, I'm exactly the same, don't get me wrong. Any song that has as its lyrics, I'm up for that. It's great. Let's do that.
I don't recall it being sung on Sunday though.
I don't think it was. I think it was dropped. Like, as they'd say around here, a hot snot, because I think there was a kind of pushback. It was like, hang on, that was Suarez's
song.
Suarez
song. You can't just
give the new guy his own. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I think that's important. Like Diogo, like Lisa Marie said, Diogo got his song. So let's give Luis Diaz a song. And man, it won't be long before he has one. I'll tell you that.
Will, think of something. They'll drum something up, won't they? So.
In the vein of wanting to talk about different aspects of the game, obviously we'll finish with the penalties. That will be the thing that'll take us over the line in our chat here today. But I want to just get something from both of you. Like, we always take a story where we sort of examine it a little bit and just talk about the thing that really struck us. And nobody will be surprised to hear that for me, it was something that I found it to be just pathetic. And it was in the aftermath of the victory. And it was, something that I looked at and thought, what a fucking tremendous image that was. And it was our kid, Lisa Marie's son, Harvey Elliott, holding some pyro. I called it a flare. Called it a flare in Twitter during the week, and I was told it's not a flare, it's a smoke bomb. And I was like, well, thank you, for fuck's sake. That's hardly the point. Sorry about my terminology around pyrotechnics, fucker. Anyway, sorry, I got a bit excited there. But the point of it was,
Kam Brainch.
The spirit of Brainchy compels me to get angry every so often. I'm possessed like the little young one out of The Exorcist. But the point is, I thought that was a fucking fantastic image. I can't think of a better image than a young kid, a boy, roaring at the fans after victory, holding some pyro. Fucking fantastic. Red smoke coming out of it. That is everything I want to see. And apparently the FA wrote to him, and the club wrote to him via the club about his conduct. And look, like I said, and this is now you can see why I picked the clip I picked at the start of the show. We really have to stop being so nanny state and so cosseted in the way that we approach things. He didn't do anything dangerous. There was nothing provocative about it. It was a boy having fun. And I'm sorry, I can't have it that it's anything other than that. And if you want to tell me, about fireworks and accidents at Halloween, I just come on. Let's have a little bit of perspective. It's a moment of pure joy, and it can't. I'm not saying it sullied anything, but for me, I found it very, very difficult to entertain it with a straight face and not get immediately dismissive in a way that made me seem like an old-fashioned kind of when I were a lad, we used to play with glass and bits of steel and juggle swords on our way to school, which we walked to barefoot across the mountains. And I don't want to sound like that guy, but come on, can we have a little bit of perspective? That was a moment of pure joy for me. Don't take away from the pure joy. And that's all I really want to say on that. Don't feel you have to comment on it either. I don't want you to feel you have to go out on a limb on it. But feel free to also do so if you want. But your takeaway story, Lisa Marie, the thing that really sort of resonated with you, and by the way, that's not the thing, the win resonated with me, but that was the little kind of quirky story I want to pick up on. What was your one from the victory on Sunday?
I mean, are you talking the aftermath or during the game or whatever?
You just go for it. What when
okay.
The Reds won the league?
Well,
League Cup
I'm going to
final,
have to
what
talk about
happened
my fourth child, Harvey Elliott, again.
There you go. There's Harvey.
When he went and stood up to Kai Havertz, to defend Trent. And
Yes.
then when Millie came and drug him away like his dad, I was dying.
That was so good. I knew you were. Right at that moment, I was thinking Lisa Marie's loving this. And the main thing was the intervention in Milner. That really made it, didn't it? That really
it did. It absolutely. I mean, it was great that he did it. I mean, even him just going to do that, that just took, gumption, because, Kai Havertz is what, like a foot taller than him? I don't know. It looked pretty significant. But yeah, but the icing on the cake was James Milner coming over and dragging him off and then turning around and kind of doing exactly the same thing. That's
the thing.
I loved it.
That's the thing. Nobody wants to see Jimbo acting like dad and taking him away. If he doesn't then turn around and go, and if you ever lay a finger on my fucking son again, because that's exactly what he did. And that to me was like, that was full Jimmy Milner.
And if you go, I actually went back and watched the whole thing, because then you later see, James Milner hauls him off and he kind of like knocks him. And I think Mo's the one who kind of like truly takes him away from the situation. So the adults got involved. That was.
Yeah, but these are the little details, and that's why I love doing shows like this, because you get to go back and revel in them. And you mentioned one. I don't know, Kam, if the mics had gone live or not, but you mentioned one from the penalty shootout. I think Dave described it as Virgil looking over his shoulder and stealing Kepa's soul, which I thought was a good phrase. But for me, it was just that moment. That was just an old talk about, alpha male stuff aside, because, whatever, that has its place in sport. It absolutely does. And if you don't believe that, you're kind of lying to yourself. But what I loved about it was just the attitude of it. And the way that it's with Virgil van Dijk, he takes everything so personally. Like, if you make him sprint, he fucking hates you. If you make him stretch, fuck you, fella, that made me stretch. And this is why I idolize Virgil van Dijk. Everything that the opposition do is a personal affront. And when he does things like head the ball back to himself, or just sort of reluctantly outpace some lad and then just sort of look over at the sideline like, fuck off, This is why I watch football. These are the moments of joy I was talking about last week, but that's just me bringing it back to you. As the man on the spot, talk to us about a couple of moments that really stuck to you. And do remember that we're going to finish with the penalties just to see us out. So.
Sure. The Mendy save from Mane. That was. Oh, it was just.
Say that again, because Siri talked over you. Because my computer's been an arse.
All right. Okay.
So I'm just kicking in for no reason. So you said the Mendy save.
The Mendy save from Mane. Okay. That was just unbelievable. What a save. give the man the credit he deserves for that. You know, I mean, it was just a phenomenal save. I mean, Gags was said at the time he thought it was the defender blocked it, but then we actually got, I think they showed a replay in the stadium, and it was like, oh shit, it was the keeper. And it was like, wow, what a save. So give the man credit for that. Mane couldn't have really done much else because it was instinctive. He just had to hit it first time. He couldn't really hit it anywhere else because the defender was slightly to the right, so he had to hit it in that gap. And for Mendy to get back there and make that save was just like, wow. I had my head in my hands.
I'm
I was
delighted
crouching down, and it was just like, well, how the hell?
You were like your daughter's video, basically.
Not as bad, but not far off.
I love that you've gone there.
I didn't have as much room. So
of course. Yeah.
So,
I do love that you've gone there, because you've given us a brilliant segue into the penalties, because obviously noted serial killer Tommy Tuchel went full galaxy brain and decided to bring on Kepa, our combined favourite bad guy stroke punching bag stroke pantomime villain for the penalty shootout. And I want to finish on this topic because it's just a cornucopia of delight and drama and horror and joy. And I can't imagine, man, what it was like to actually be there when it was happening in front of you. Because with I don't know, I suppose maybe it's the same. Maybe I guess you can do the same, people do. But when you're in the place, you want to watch it. It's like these dopes who you see watching concerts through their phone, and you're going, what the fuck are you doing, you imbecile? So when you're at an event, you want to be at it. So I presume you don't look away, right? I look away because it's on TV and it feels a bit more throwaway.
You don't look away.
But you don't look away. So I have a question for you. Did you watch the penalties? Did you watch the little man kicking the little ball, or did you watch the big screen? And was it on the big screen live, or was it only replays on the big screen?
I couldn't tell you because I was watching the little man kick the ball.
Okay, brilliant. Brilliant.
In Virgil's case, it was the big man kicking the ball.
The big man kicking the ball. Yeah. So talk to us about your experience with the penalties. I'll get Lisa Marie's, and then we'll take it out of here.
Well, we started by thinking who was going to be the first five. So we knew Milner would be taking one. We knew Mo would be taking one. We thought. I think Jota was on the pitch as well. Was Jota on the pitch at the time?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we thought Jota would take one because he obviously scored the winning one against Leicester, didn't he? So we thought he would take one. Who else did we think would take one?
I figured Fab would take one.
Yeah, we knew Fab would take one
while Mo was out. Yeah.
There was someone else we thought would take one, and we didn't get the five we thought because obviously Trent took one in the first five. And was Virgil in the first five as well?
Yes.
Yeah. So those two completely threw us. But we were still like, yeah, okay, that's fine. Well, I was like, we weren't really talking about anything after that. We were just watching and engrossed. And we were like, the only thing we said was, Chelsea have got cheat codes because they got like 2 or 3 German players taking penalties and they never miss. So that's unfair. They shouldn't be allowed on the pitch, sort of thing. They should have been taken off. Then we were getting a little bit annoyed with Kepa's antics, and it got to about. Before I get to what I was going to say, we noticed the way Virgil. Well, I noticed the way Virgil was looking back over his shoulder at Kepa, and I was like, yeah, he's telling him. Noticed the really got into Trent celebrating the penalty, gearing up the fans. Robbo the same. Robbo was full Braveheart. You could feel it even up in the heavens. You could feel.
Oh, I loved it. I loved that. Yeah, it was great.
Yeah, Mo turning around and just smirking and laughing, like, yeah, all right, lad, like you were going to say that. Because obviously Kepa was doing the antics. I mean, it would have been really interesting if the referee had sent him off or booked him. because of what he was doing. Because
Can you explain to me why he didn't do either? Because I came in on Monday morning to my place of work, and a guy who had been a referee at sort of UEFA level is the caretaker in our school.
right,
And he said to me, what in actual fuck was happening that the referee didn't, after the initial reprimand, the second time around, didn't say, here's a yellow card, do it again, it'll be red. And then they'll have to put fucking, I don't know, Kante in goal or whatever. That's what should have happened, Cam. It's absolutely disgraceful. Not enough has been said about it. You can't do that shit.
Yeah, and he literally did it for all 11 penalties. 11 penalties. He did something. He just wanted to try and it was like that annoying fly that you want to swat away, and that's what he was trying to do. He was trying to be a pest, and fair play if it works, because if you can get away with it and it works, perfect. You've done what you set out to do.
Well, if you're being led away with it, Cam, again, I used to keep the theme going, I used the school teacher analogy when I was talking to Jan about it. It was just reminding me of one of those ineffectual people that I occasionally have encountered in my line of work, where they just go, oh, stop, please stop doing that now. Stop messing, stop it. Because honest to God, just be firm and say, Stuart Little.
The referee, I thought the referee through the whole game was average at best, and I'm being polite with that. So I'm going to leave that, because at the end of the day, let's not go too negative with what was a great day ultimately. And so leading up to where I was going, I mean, obviously I mentioned this in the car pod afterwards, but it got to about the 8th or 9th penalty, and I said, this is going to go to 11 penalties. And I'll want.
Who did you say that for? Who did you say that to?
I said it to Gags. Yeah, I said it to Gags.
I'm going to do my research on this.
Yeah, I said it on the about the 9th penalty. I said I want it to go to the 11th penalty, or I hope it goes to the 11th penalty, and I hope Kepa misses, because he would have then cost Chelsea the cup. I said, because of his antics, I thought that will be the poetic justice of it all. And then Gags' cousin was with us as well, on the other side of Gags. So Gags was in the middle. And then when it came to the 11th pen, he goes, oh, I hope Kepa misses. And Gags turned around and said, Cam just said that about 5 minutes ago.
Well, Cam, you have absolutely proved yourself to be the Mystic Meg of Liverpool supporters with your Kepa shout. That is tremendous, man. And I'm delighted you got that right. And all the better when you say something in advance and it's proved to be true. You got to enjoy those kind of moments. But I am noticing we're starting to go a little bit towards the long side of things. So I want us to get towards the end here with you telling us, before I go to Lisa Marie for her kind of penalty take, when the final whistle goes, man, and you're in the stands and you're in the Wembley atmosphere, that must have been pretty special. And of the final whistle, the post-final whistle moments, what's the thing that stands out to you? Was there something in any of the individual celebrations or something specific that you'd like to draw attention to there before we head over to Lisa Marie?
I think because it was a penalty shootout, that moment when Kepa missed, you knew, obviously, that was the moment we won. That very, very moment. So comparing it to the Champions League final, for example, where I was very fortunate to be at, you were building up to the final whistle. You knew it 2-0. It's done now, and it's just like a question of waiting for that whistle and then enjoying the celebrations. This was so much more. What's the word I'm looking for here? Not necessarily emotional, but it was just like more wonderful.
It was fraught.
It was, it was more. It was just fantastic. It was just like.
Oh, so you mean the payoff was more wonderful?
Straight away.
Yeah.
Meant,
just more intense.
It was it. We won straight away. Whereas Champions League final, you're waiting for the final whistle. You know you've won it, but you're waiting for the final whistle. And so it was a different type of emotion, knowing when you'd won. So it just felt. I can't. It's so difficult to put into words. It just felt more amazing at that moment. You know, you've won it, and then it just carried on, and then the trophy lift seemed to take forever, because obviously the Chelsea players have to go up first, get their losers medals. Let's say losers. I'll stick with that.
Second place medals.
No, losers. So some petty bitch.
Absolute losers.
Yeah.
Runner-up medals.
Losers. So
losers.
Yeah. So you're waiting forever, and then I noticed the kid. We were, next to Alison.
Kid.
Yeah, an alley kid.
Yeah. We're like, who's that kid? I said to Gags, who's that kid? And he goes, I don't know. I said, maybe it's Alison's. I thought Alison got a son that age. I don't know. Has he? And he goes, no, he hasn't. No, he doesn't. And I'm
Some
like,
random kid.
Some random. Who's the kid? Nobody knew who the kid was. Obviously, we're on the other side of the stadium. We can't see anything from there. So obviously, then the trophy lift. We didn't really feel that. When they lifted the trophy, because we couldn't see it, because it was so far away. Didn't really feel that. But then obviously, when the players came down onto the pitch, and then Joel was doing his antics and Simicast was doing his stuff pretty much in our corner where we were. That was great. Verge telling me
he's a lunatic, Kam. He is a lunatic, that lad.
Go back, do another one. Go back, do another one. Go back, do another one.
Yeah.
It's just like, brilliant. And then when Minamino was doing it, that was great, because I love that guy. I love Minamino. I just want him to be at Liverpool Football Club forever and a day. I want him to be the James Milner of Liverpool Football Club and just stay and never go. I just think there's something great about Minamino. I think he's just a wonderful asset for Liverpool Football Club. I genuinely do. And I've got so much time for him and just want him to be a huge success. And I think he's shown that this season in what obviously he did midweek, and the role he played in helping us get to the final. And even Jurgen Klopp mentioned Minamino, saying, look, at the end of the day, you can either choose to be at football club to play a lot of games but not win anything, or you can be at a football club and contribute and win something and win things. And that's what Minamino is. And I love that. I love that he got to hold that trophy and celebrate with the fans, and we appreciate him, and we love him. So but then just to finish it off with from myself, the what was the song? One Kiss, did you say? So me and music.
Yeah, the Dua Lipa song. Yeah,
Dua
One
Lipa.
Kiss. Yeah.
Well, we don't go together. Although I have discovered Swedish House Mafia this week for some bizarre reason. Or even though I'm known about them.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, madness, isn't it? So they're quite good actually, aren't they? But yeah, when One Kiss was going off, that was phenomenal. That was the icing on the cake for the whole day. That was the icing. It was just literally the hairs on the back of your neck were iron, because the players were part of it, the fans were part of it. And you could just, it was just like we were actually at that moment, we were one. No, that's a Faithless song, isn't it? No, but yeah, we were one actually at that moment. The players, the fans, the support staff, everybody around it, the FSG. Let's give them some credit as well. We were together at that moment. That we totally won.
Wonderful. Delighted to have, like I say, the boots on the ground report. It makes a big difference to the show, and people will enjoy that. And cheers to that, Kam. And you're right, man. That was a cool moment. That was one of those sort of like hairs on the back of your neck moments. And there were lots of them at the end, actually. And it's great that it made the fans of other clubs cringe. There was the post-match dressing room footage of Pep Linders with some serious moves.
Yes.
Yeah, he learned them from me.
It's that he's got. He learned them from you. Yeah. he had some serious moves, and he was. But listen. Realistically, there is no one and there is nothing that sums up the victory better than Pete Krawietz coming across in the middle of that dance video from the dressing room with the same Pete Krawietz expression, no smile. He looks like he's absolutely murdered about 7 people and buried the bodies under your house. And he's just coming into the shot. He's doing his dad dancing. Klopp was doing his dad dancing, but Klopp, Lisa Marie, also did something, a take. He was improvising. He was riffing like a proper rock star. We know and we're familiar with, because it's one of the best things of recent times in terms of that connection that he started. When he started at the club, when he brought the fans to the away end against West Brom, and we had drawn, and a lot of proper Reds were going, fucking don't be celebrating that. What are you doing? That's just embarrassing. But he thought, well, that was worth celebrating. We did something there, and we did something with this shit squad, which, like, let's be honest. And he has had this connection from the start, and we've seen in recent times this wonderful 3 fist pumps to the away to the home fans, usually the home fans, occasionally to the away fans, and it's a fucking great thing. I love it. It really gets me hyped up. I have to say, I love it. It's a beautiful moment of connection. Kam was talking about that connection, about being one and feeling that connection, and that is something that he's doing, and he's like a kind of a shaman. And then on the day, on the final, he seemed to take the trophy in his right hand, which is usually his fist pump hand. And unless I did my sums wrong, Lisa Marie, he seemed to do 9 separate fist pumps in the kind of famous post European Cup win, where he did the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 kind of famous little bit of video. He's hyper aware of this shit, and it seemed like to me that he was drawing attention to it, to the fans, and that's why I love him, because he's the nicest man in the world, but he's also a massive wind-up merchant, and he's absolutely dyed in the wool, and you've got to love that.
Yes, and yes. Yeah, he does. He knows. He has that connection with the fans, with the crowd, with everyone, and that the thing with the trophy celebrations was phenomenal. The whole thing, I mean, it all, I love all of that stuff. I'll immerse myself in all the footage and everything for days afterwards.
Yeah.
And just to catch all of that. I do absolutely enjoy it. But to just kind of go back to the penalties so I can have my little say. The one thing that we really haven't talked about, and I know it's been talked about all week, but, is the absolutely phenomenal way that Caoimhín Kelleher conducted himself through the penalty shootout. I mean, I have never seen such composure. I mean, he was, and we talked last week about, we touched on the topic of, did we think it was right that he was going to play in this final? And I absolutely agreed with it all along, both for kind of the sentimental reasons, but also he had earned his place. And I think, if nothing else, not just the penalty shootout, but the whole game, because he made some fantastic saves during the match to keep us in it. And I think if he absolutely shut up anyone who doubted that he deserved to be there. But yeah, and then his own penalty was just way to go. Absolutely way to go.
This is a kid who is, he's 23. He only turned 23 just sort of before the year turned. I think it's November. November, December, right? Something like that. And so in other words, he's just 23. Like he's a very young 23. And to do that, you're so right. Like the self-possession of that fella, it's almost comical, isn't it? Do you not find that as well when you see him being interviewed? You're like, he's like, it's not normal, the level of calm that he has. You know what I mean?
He's very calm.
he's so laid back, and he's so very much what when I was growing up a Liverpool player was. He doesn't say anything controversial. He talks about taking it one game at a time. He doesn't have any edge on him about how he's better than anybody else. He's very, very humble to a fault almost. And yet he is bloody tremendous at what he does. I'm so glad you went there, because I think it's a suitable note for us to finish on, unless there was something else you wanted to say about the penalties.
No, but in keeping with my queeving theme, I mean the fact that, I mean, the rest of the team, is completely agree with that, and the fact that Jordan Henderson made a point of making sure that he had pictures taken that was just him with the cup, because he absolutely earned that time, that place, and that victory. And I think it was great. So that was kind of one of the things in the celebrations. I mean, just you could see that his teammates were giving him all the credit in the world for getting them to that win, and he absolutely deserved it.
Yeah, as well they might, and as well he deserved, and that's like I say, a properly opposite note to end, I think, on, because it is getting very late in the day, and we should allow Lisa Marie to get back to her afternoon and Kam to his evening, and we'll start wrapping it up here by saying that we really do appreciate your ears when you wrap them around the Anfield Index podcast. Lisa Marie and Kam and myself, we do our best just to have a completely non-pretentious, non-specific in terms of trying to be match analysis or stats-based stuff, a chat, but come at it from the perspective of being just dyed-in-the-wool supporters, which the three of us very much are. So we appreciate your attention when you give it to us. If you think somebody else in your life might enjoy the show, then please do pass it on to them. We're always gratified when we see the amount of people that listen. We'd be even more gratified if there were more of you, and the channel is changing in its structure. I see no reason why this show shouldn't grow on the back of that. So please do consider telling us, telling your friends about us, or telling the red in your life. There's not a bad show I heard there the other day. Some Irish lad, some lad who's always threatening the listeners and talking about Tories, and some mellifluous American lady who you just do whatever she tells you. Step out of the plane.
Please step out of the plane.
There you go. We need to record these.
Nearly as good as us singing.
Yeah, which we still don't know about. So I have been Trev Downey. That was Lisa Marie Hanahan. That was Kam Brainch. And we will see you again next time. I better say, look out for your fellow Reds and stay safe out there, or Lisa Marie will kill me. But do look out for your fellow Reds, and do stay safe out there. And up the 4 trophy Reds.
We hope you enjoyed listening to this Anfield Index show. Please be sure to subscribe to our channel so future podcasts find their way to your device automatically. There's nothing quite like fan engagement, and we'd love to know what you think of anything discussed on this show. The best way to get in touch is over on our free Discord community, where both podcasters and listeners debate the hottest LFC topics 24/7. Sign up free now at anfieldindex.com/Discord. You won't regret it. You can also follow us on Twitter at Anfield Index, and find us on Facebook by searching for Anfield Index. Oh, and before you go, we'd love it if you could leave us a 5-star review on your favourite podcast app. It only takes a couple of seconds, and it means the world to the people who create these free shows.